Hello and welcome back. This is Mrs. Barza with Reading in the Dark, and we are reading Small Spaces by Katherine Arden. And I have permission from Scholastic to record and upload this read aloud. So, we read in chapter 9 that Ollie wandered off and found a cemetery, a very old cemetery. And the bus driver had some strange things to say to Ollie about those graves. Well, Seth came to her rescue. So let's see what happens now. We're in chapter 10. By the time Ollie caught up, the 6th grade was trekking toward a path of sunflowers whose petals had withered, their pods rattling with seeds. Ollie tried to sneak in with the group, but Mr. Easton spotted her. "Ollie!" he called. She altered course. Mr. Easton was frowning. "I didn't see you in the milk shed. I didn't spot you in the horse barn either. Did you go outside?" Ollie debated lying, decided Mr. Easton would know it, and said, "Yes." Mr. Easton looked concerned. "Did you need some quiet time?" Ollie suddenly wanted to yell, "Quiet time? Always quiet time!" As if she could make her own head and heart be quiet. "Yes," said Ollie again. Mr. Easton sighed. "I understand, but next time, tell me, don't just sneak off. Now we're going to harvest some sunflower seeds, and then it'll be time for lunch." Mr. Easton, Ollie thought, was nice. Lunch was delicious. Misty Valley had an outdoor bread oven, which Seth handled with an old-fashioned bread paddle, a streak of flour on one sharp cheekbone. Lily Mayhew went back 3 times for bread, giggling. She and Jenna egged each other on. Even Ollie went back once, and when Seth winked at her, she smiled at him. He hadn't winked at Lily Mayhew. The bread was good. It had a thick golden crust and pale insides. There was honey, and you could put on top, and a salty sort of butter. With the bread went a red tomato soup. "The last of the fresh tomatoes," proclaimed Miss Webster, presiding over the pot and big rounds of farmhouse cheese. Waiting in the soup line, Ollie decided that she was fed up with being puzzled. When she raised her bowl to have it filled with tomato soup, she met Miss Webster's eyes. "Hi," she said, holding out her bowl. The lady in front of her suddenly wore such a cold, sinking expression of fright that Ollie felt a prickling of nervousness between her own shoulder blades. "So nice to see you again," said Ollie in her best innocent voice. Miss Webster slopped soup towards Ollie's bowl, but her trembling hand missed and sent cream of tomato all over the ground. "Clumsy of me. No," Miss Webster said. No. I don't think so. I mean, I don't remember meeting you. Sorry." She ladled Ollie more soup with hands that still trembled. "I'm reading it," said Ollie, abandoning pretense. "I'll give it back to you if you want. But I just have some questions." Miss Webster's pumpkin head grin was more fake than ever. "Oh, I can't imagine what you mean. Go along, dear." She turned sharply to serve soup to the next kid, putting her back to Ollie. frowning. Ollie got bread and cheese and pumpkin pie and went to a table. She was more confused than ever. She wished she could sneak off by herself and finish small spaces. But Mr. Easton was keeping a close eye on her. When they finished serving food, Seth and Miss Webster and the bus driver sat down with Mr. Easton. Ollie watched them closely. Miss Webster was talking with frantic animation, like she was an actor in a play. Seth didn't say much, although sometimes he smiled. The bus driver was hunched over his food, eating as though he were starving, off a plate piled high. The food disappeared in a blink. His red mouth bit, gulped, swallowed. It had to be him that Miss Webster was scared of. Why? What connection did he have to a book called Small Spaces? Why would he want Miss Webster to get rid of it? Koko Zintner plopped down on the bench opposite Ollie, breaking her chain of thought. Koko had a car's band-aid on her chin and her eyes were red. I hate them, said Koko. They all laughed at me. No one helped. Ollie hadn't helped either. Sorry, she mumbled, still keeping an eye on the adults. You helped me yesterday, said Koko. I never said thanks, so thanks. Ollie didn't say anything. Don't you hate them? Said Koko with a sweep of her arm to indicate their class. Ollie hurriedly rescued her cup of water, which Koko had almost sent into her lap. You always sit by yourself. Ollie thought about explaining, and then she said, No, I don't hate anyone. That was true. She just didn't care enough to try to be friends anymore. She hadn't cared about much of anything in almost a year. She looked down again, finding her place on the page. Then why do you sit by yourself? Asked Koko. Ollie said nothing. Is it because your mom died? Koko pressed. Ollie looked up, stomach churning. She didn't hate her classmates for the most part, but she did hate Koko just then. Pretty Koko with her pink hair and her stupid crying eyes and her mom at home. None of your business, Ollie snapped. Or don't you have any brain at all in your stupid pink head? A murmur of appalled delight ran through the 6th grade. Koko stared at Ollie, her mouth open, her eyes filling with tears once again. Ollie got up and ran, book in her pocket, backpack over her shoulder, leaving the rest of her bread uneaten. So now we know why Ollie is so sad. But I'm still curious to know what's going on with the bus drivers Seth and Miss Webster. We'll have to keep reading to find out. See you in the next chapter.